All right, welcome to Postmortem Radio. I'm your host Oz, joined today by my co-host, the blonde in front, Katie. How you doing, Katie?
Good. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm a little under the weather, so if I sound a little congested, that's because I am. Damn kids getting me sick. And my youngest son has been sick all week, and he's had baseball tryouts. So even when he's sick, he's trying to make sure he's still at baseball, and got all that going on. And then it yesterday transferred to me, so
Oh no.
I've got that going on. So that's fun. But one good thing over the weekend that I did get to check out on Friday, as I hope you did, is, and what we're talking about today, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We finally got a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Whether that's good, that's bad, I've seen a lot on Facebook and online. From everywhere from this is the worst piece of crap I've ever seen to I've actually even seen some people saying, holy shit, this is how you make a horror movie, all that. So everywhere from the spectrum I've seen online, and I was really kind of surprised at the latter, because I, as much of a fan of the original and the series as I am, this one, it's tough for me to get behind this one. I remember being a kid and watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was one of the first films that legitimately it legitimately terrorized me. Like, I watched Halloween, and that's what got me into horror, and that gave me the creeps and scared me and all that kind of stuff. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre was at a whole nother level, especially that scene where Leatherface grabs the chick. She's almost makes it out of the house. He brings her back in and he puts her on the hook, because that to me is as much of a mind screw. I mean, to be hanging there in that kind of pain, and then watching Leatherface cut up your boyfriend with a chain, knowing you're next. I mean, that is just so mentally terrorizing as well as physically. I mean, that to me has forever left an imprint on me. So that's kind of why I've got so much love for this franchise, and had so much hope for this movie. So I will hand you the floor and let you start off with your thoughts.
No, Texas Chainsaw is just a classic in every way, because it has the whole, I mean, you've got kids that are going on a road trip. They're doing something. They're going to, see I mean, the reason why the trip is to go to a cemetery, because it's kind of been defiled. They're going to figure out, which I always thought was a nod to George Romero, mm-hmm. and Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
And then, I mean, they try and do the right thing and pick up a hitchhiker, and he turns out to be nuts. They just want to see if they can find some help and go, to a stranger and whatnot. And everything about it, it's like road trip from hell. And as you said, that scene with picking up the character, I believe her name is Pam, picking her, run out the door, gets yanked back, is just, I mean, it's one of those quintessential horror scenes that you will never forget. I mean, this is before the Saw. This is just Leatherface as Leatherface. Yeah. This is your first glimpse of him, and you're like, holy shit, this is a true monster. He's massive. He's got this, and then he just is taking his it's just putting this hook, and it's like, okay, so we're getting down to this. Not to mention the fact that the way the cinematography and the way Tobe Hooper has made it, it looks like it's a snuff film. I mean, this looks like it's almost like he's doing the original found footage.
Well, and that scene, the scene that I love, the thing that I love the most about that scene is that the camera view from the hook as he's bringing her back into the room. It's just like, oh, you're like, oh shit, because you know what's going to happen, and you're like, oh no, he's not gonna. and he does. And
But,
the other part too is that just before that, I mean, she is just seconds away from making it out of there.
oh yeah.
And then back in, it just,
Well, and how quickly it's like, because he takes that hammer, knocks her boyfriend on the head, done. He's done. Like, yeah, he's shaken, but it's like, bam. And then
that's just nerves firing.
yeah. And it's one of the, like, during that scene, I could be wrong, but I think in the original, like, they didn't want the actors to see Gunnar Hansen. So that when they first saw him, that was like a reaction. And I'm pretty sure that first scene, like with the character, that is real reaction of seeing him for the first time and doing all that. And yes, oh no, are you? Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, it's back now. I think we're good.
Okay. Now with this one, I wish we had that grittiness to it. I do think that the cinematography, there are a number of shots that are absolutely gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree with that.
A number of nuances, like the character that unfortunately they didn't even bother to give her a name, just the fiance, which I believe me, I watched this enough that it's like, come on, they had to do something. No, even when the character
she's
Melody,
credited as Ruth.
Yeah, they did not say her name once in the movie, not once.
Right. Yeah, not even she's credited here as Ruth, but the weird thing is as you point out, she's supposed to be Dante's fiance that he mentions.
Yeah.
However, it has the other African-American actress that was part of the caravan that comes in. She's credited as Dante's girlfriend because I guess they had that exchange.
Oh.
But I mean, what?
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
See, I didn't look at those credits. That's good to know. Wow. That's even worse. Oh yeah. Oh, Catherine. When you see the hair Ruth, like I noticed she's wearing like this light pink, or she's wearing this lavender tank top and a little kimono over it, and then shorts. And I liked how the costume designer kind of combined the way that Sally and Pam in the original had their outfit and made that into hers. I could be stretching. That's when I noticed, but I thought that was really cute. Or not cute, but I thought that was a nice little nod to the original. If you notice when you first see Leatherface, whatever baby, he's in this room sitting in a chair and staring in a corner. The character Dante comes in and is going towards the window, so Dante doesn't see him. And then the next thing you see when they pull back, you see the room again and you see the chair of bones.
Oh, okay.
So are the filmmakers trying to have us believe that Leatherface not only made it to Harlow, but that load up their U-Haul and took his chair of bones from the, his original ranch and then took it to this orphanage?
See,
is that what
you're hitting on the same things the same things that bothered me, because the way they don't ever explain anything as to how he gets in, how Leatherface is in this orphanage that's in a downtown, surrounded by, other buildings and businesses, at least at one point, that were open and running. It used to be a functioning orphanage that this lady took care of. And if she's supposed to be his mother, or just the lady who run the orphanage, they make you believe that he's been there since he was a boy, because they show that picture with the, that his face is cut out, on the, and I guess you're supposed to assume that that's him. So if that's the case, he's been there. So when was he at the farmhouse from the original where Sally was and the family was? Did he bounce back and forth? Because that's kind of what they're alluding to. If you watched the bonus, the post-credit scene at the end, which I don't know if a lot of people did, because no one has ever really, I haven't seen anybody mention it online, but there is a post-credit scene that shows him walking back to a dilapidated house, but it doesn't look anything like, I mean, if they were going to do that, at least make that house resemble the farmhouse from the original, but it doesn't. It looks just like an abandoned, dilapidated shack. Well, it looks like he and Jason Voorhees from part 2 got together and threw a shack together out in the middle of nowhere.
And then also called Michael Myers, like, hey, do you mind if we like borrow your mom and dad's house? Like, thanks.
Yeah.
And
well, they borrowed a heck of a lot from more than that from Michael Myers. I mean, aside from the fact that when I saw the first trailer from this and saw that they were bringing Sally back, you know, I thought obviously they're trying to capitalize on the momentum and everything of bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back from Halloween 2018. But I'm okay with that. You know, Sally was an iconic character, but what they did with her was a travesty. I mean, okay, I give them credit that they got an actress that resembled what I could believe. I could believe she was Sally Hardesty 50 years later. Okay. I could believe that. But now the part I don't get is she just hanging around for 50 years, cutting up pigs, waiting for this guy to give her a call on the CB about, oh, hey, guess what? We spotted Leatherface, but and he's not seen Leatherface in around town and hanging out in this orphanage with all these other, they don't have, I mean, I guess nobody's bothered spotting him in the past 50 years. I mean, I know the town is deserted and stuff now, but I can't believe it's been that way for 50 years.
Well, because she's now a Texas.
Right. And the whole her picking up the badge and putting that was so why? There was no reason for that. It was
have them house after she got anything.
I think we lost your audio.
Would have known somewhat around that area.
Yeah. Once she made it, I think. Yeah, once she made it back. Okay, once she made it back, you would think that she'd be telling anybody and everybody. Okay, this is where I was. This is where the house is. And okay, granted. Okay, so maybe that's when Leatherface decides to hightail it and go to the orphanage and bury his chainsaw in the wall. I don't know, but I would think they had all these posters and stuff up for and stuff on the news about Leatherface and the man at large, and a murder was never solved and all this and that. So you would think the people around town would be like, hey man, this guy that's hanging out in this orphanage, he kind of fits this physical description of this guy. And he seems like he might be a little off too. So, maybe you want to come check this guy out. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing, like Alice Krieg, who's playing the woman that's going to, that's been taking care of him. Because that's the thing that she even says, like, he's my last boy I've taken care of. Mm-hmm. Because it's like with the picture they show is like 1975. Everything that happened is 1973. So you've got a little bit of difference and whatnot. But I mean, what? It was like 18, 20, a giant, I don't know, 16, 15-year-old. I'm not sure. In any case, yeah.
In the original movie, in the original film in 73, I would have to put Leatherface. Yeah. He's got to be in his 20s. He's got to be in his 20s. So. And this dude is like he's acting like he's in his late. I mean, he looks like he's about my age. He's in his late 40s. Maybe you could maybe he's so 50s, maybe, but there's no way that dude's 76, 78 years old.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And the fact that then the lady who was taking care of him, is she supposed to be in her 90s? Or stuff like that, because that was one of the things I had an issue with, because if she's supposed to be taking care of these kids, and running an orphanage, they usually don't have like mid 20-year-olds doing that, at least not in the 70s from what I know of. So I would think that she would have to be in her 30s, 40s when that was. So that's supposed to be saying that she's to mid 8-9.
Yeah, I mean, you would think she would have to be older than him, but I don't know. They lost me on that one too.
That what?
Okay, your audio's back. We lost your audio for a second there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet connection. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it looks great. It's fine. It's fine now.
Yeah, but that whole instance, like, he's been hanging out in an orphanage since 1975 in a town that apparently, like, is dilapidated, and who knows why everyone left except for her. One of the things that I joked about with some people when because it's like there's no grocery store, I don't see that guy walking to the gas station to pick up stuff and then walking back. So I made the joke, it's like maybe he and the lady ate all the orphans, because I mean, who knows what happened to him. And because to me, one of the like, I mean, not only because that's one of the things that I thought really was missing in this, is that Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't just about the chainsaw. It's about a family who eats people. And none of that was
forced cannibalism, because they refused to leave their home, and they were out of work and money, and everything dried up. The whole town suffered. The whole town was moving on. And you know, at the beginning of this new film, you know, I was kind of getting in, understanding where they were kind of wanting to go with it, that, you know, these young hipsters, they wanted to start over. They don't like how things are going in the country. Okay, we get that. But basically they were going to like try to gentrify this town, and buy this town and sell it back and turn it into a hipster's paradise, I guess, and open up coffee shops and all kinds of fancy restaurants. And then, you know, this is absolutely every episode we have. I say, you know, if you haven't seen the film, stop here and come back after you watch the film, because we always have spoilers, and this is obviously going to have spoilers. And I understand how they turn it around to try to make you empathize with and want to make you root for Leatherface, you know. But, you know, they went out of their way to throw issues out there. Like, you know, they made the comment about the guy with the big truck. Oh, how small of a penis do you have to have a big truck? I mean, and then, you know, they kind of, I'm okay with the fact that, you know, the girl was a survivor of a school shooting and all that. And then, but they throw these little issues at you, but they don't clearly state like where they're standing on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't say whether she's anti-gun or is she pro-gun, whatever. I don't know. It felt to me like they threw those things in there just to throw them in there, just to satisfy people who want to have these kind of things presented in a film. And I don't have a problem with presenting these issues in a film, but be more clear about what you're trying to say. What's your message? Because it's really kind of all over the place when it comes to that, if you ask me. I mean, I was kind of like, okay, what's the point of showing that?
And see, I would have to disagree, because I feel like with the school shooting and the whole thing with the how can you gentrify a town that's basically abandoned? I mean, it's not like they went in and kicked families out or kicked.
Well, they were kicking her. They were kicking her out. She's the only lady left. So I guess maybe, yeah. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Well, and there's also that, but then it was weird that, and again, this is spoilers because you're talking about that, but then the cops even said, it's like, Jenny, we talked to you 2 weeks ago. You should have been out of here a long time ago.
Right. But she had the deed.
Yeah, I know. So here's the thing. How can the bank and the cops not know this lady had the deed and all that stuff, which then she's the only person that they that was apparently living in the town, which is this town that none of these people saw before they rolled up in there. But going back, it's like, you know, to the original, you have, this is right after the Vietnam War, which people are like losing their friends who had been killed in Vietnam War. I consider that similar to the girls surviving the school shooting, that they're trying to do a message of that. And you have the hippie culture with the free love and all that stuff. You have this new generation that is going in. It's like, we want to make this a safer place, which I can see how the contractor's saying it's kind of like a cult because you got this mind, which I can see. I mean, look, that sounds beautiful. But the thing is, unless you're going to then go against what you're talking about and wanting, like, this will be a new place. If you want a new place like that, then you also have to keep those people out that are causing, you know, all that, which, I mean, that's a whole different thing going on. What I do think is the contradiction that they definitely had, though, is that you're having these people who are coming in, they want to, like, oh, we've got all these fresh ideas, you know, don't judge us. Yet the Melody Girl does the thing that is one of those tropes, and I don't even know if it's a trope. It's just a habit in horror films that is just so stupid.
Well,
where
no,
she's like,
we lost you right when you said that.
I can't believe this guy. It's his problem. And that's something that's just always so annoying to me. It's like, seriously, can you not get in the car and then make fun of people? Because I do that all the time. I just wait till it's out of earshot because I don't know if they've got a gun. Oh, wait, he does have a gun. It's 2022, 2021. Anyone can shoot anybody because of people acting like assholes. And then what do? You act like an asshole.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm again, but my thing with the I don't know if it's necessarily anti-gun or pro-gun. I think it's just like anti-school shooting, which if anyone's pro-school shooting, I to know who the people are, because that's what I mean. It's because I mean, that's honestly, that's there's more and more, unfortunately, there's more and more people who are going to be growing up doing that. That's, you know, having to do school drills, like, you know, and are used to that, going to be used to that kind of thing.
My son, they go through drills now about when the school goes lockdown and what they do. So, I mean, like when I was in school, it was fire drill, tornado drill. And now that was it. Now he's got this drill where, you know, the doors lock and they all climb under their desks and behind stuff. I mean, so, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, it's sad that we've gotten to that point, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad that the schools do that and they do have a, you know, an officer who's there all day. They have two other officers who are there in the morning and in the afternoons to help keep the kids safe. And I mean, he's lucky that he goes to such a school district that can afford to do that. And I know there's a lot of schools out there that don't. And, you know, I just hope and pray that, you know, they don't have to, you know, I hope that those resource officers aren't ever needed. And the schools that don't have them don't end up a target, I guess. So
again, you know, I mean, I know I've seen a number of people who have mentioned the thing about the with the school shooting, but I think that goes along with, you know, in the original Texas Chainsaw, people getting over the whole thing with Vietnam and like trying to find, you know, make this world a better place and all that stuff. And that's I mean, you know, the rampant school shootings for, you know, over 20
I never thought about that, but
that's a good these point. Kids Vietnam point. And it's where you have survivors, you have you know, friends and families who have been touched by it and killed. And I think that's kind of the message they were doing. I wish the whole film would have been my thing with the film. I think if they took out the Texas Chainsaw and the nostalgia of it, I think they could have had like a solid film just with that.
Yeah. And it didn't, you know, he didn't have to be Leatherface. I mean, this could have been, you know, because if you make this a standalone film and you make this just another killer, not necessarily Leatherface, And, then you don't have all the comparisons and the plot holes and the connection to, this is not, and that's what I had explained to Janelle, because Janelle was looking at this and was like thinking this was a remake, a reimagining or something like that. And I was like, no. She's like, oh, well, no, because she didn't understand why I was talking about the original and the farmhouse and all this stuff. And I was like, no, this is not a remake. This is supposed to be like 2018 Halloween up to the original 74 film. It's the same. It ignores everything else except the original. And I think it could have been a successful film that way. I love your Leatherface pillow, by the way.
Which, let's look at this too. Why they had to have him do the makeup of his, adopted mother, like on that.
That was a little.
That was just.
It was weird because, like, if she's the one taking care of him, why did he feel the need to cut her face off and wear it?
That was the other thing. I wasn't necessarily, because I always thought that, but I mean, I don't know if he, no, because just there, it's like he always wanted, like, this is the woman who was taking care of him for 45 years. He's not good with outside people, baby, just remember everything I taught you. Don't go in my bedroom. That was one of those things, like, now, are you trying to tell him to go? And it's like, basically, avenge me. Or was he just not listening to anything you said? Because, I mean, you took care of him like twice, 3 times as long as the family that he was raised by. And you showed him love and all that stuff. So you would think that would have a little bit, like, I don't know, more of an effect on him than the original Sawyer family.
Right. And to further, piggyback off of that too, is when she died, that's what triggered him.
Yeah.
That's what triggered him. So if and then for him to go and cut her face, it doesn't make sense to me. And I mean, maybe that's what they were going for, that he was just, he's just a brute, just, that there was no logic to it or anything like that. But I don't know. It didn't seem, if that was the thing that triggered him and set him off, that it didn't make any sense for him to desecrate her. And then I don't know. It lost me on that as well.
Yeah. I didn't because I would have thought he would have done that with the deputy, that he, when he did this and then with the arm, which or
the other dude that was driving when he,
but that thing with the deputy and the arm, that was a great effect.
That was
awesome. And I mean, I will say, I think that the practical effects were spot on. I thought they were great. I mean,
the practical effects, I'll give them credit. They were great. Especially my favorite, I'll say 1A and 1B was the what you were talking about, the wrist break. When we saw that, we were like, oh shit. And then the other one where the chick's trying to climb out the bus and he cuts her in half and the intestines and everything. That was great. Now, the one effect that I really didn't like was the one where he takes the cleaver and he hits Dante, because he hits the ground. And I get it, he's supposed to be bleeding out in the blood, but it looked like water. It did not look like blood. It was it wasn't thick enough to look like, I mean, it looked like water. It looked like it was poorly done. It was just poorly
I thought
done.
you were going to say when he takes the cleaver and hits Richter in the leg and it just cripples. Cause I here's my sick mind. Every time I see that, I just start laughing. I'm like, that just looks so silly. It just looks so silly. Yeah. But also with with Dante's wound. I mean, I'm not a medical professional. I know he did lose a lot of blood, but yet he got cut from here to here. That is a nasty wound. I don't necessarily think you would die from that because he did not break an artery here. I mean, it's a head wound, so you're going to lose a lot of blood.
Right.
And he was able to walk away, but I thought that was.
I thought he did that when he walked back over to Dante after he was already on the ground, because I thought Dante took the cleaver to the, I thought it was more along like around the neck area, and that's why it was. I could be wrong. Like I said, I've only saw it once, but
I just remember it's like
I remember when they
like
showed it. Yeah,
Dante's got
it was.
Yeah,
I thought that was the
giant
secondary.
wide
I thought he
thing
did
on
that
his face.
after he did the one in the shoulder, but I guess I could be wrong. But
I could watch it again. However, here's a fun fact, kids, that you may not if you have not seen this, or if you have seen this. So Mr. Face, Leather, as we should call him, Leatherface, is wearing overalls, shirt. When we meet him, when he goes into the police van, when he speed walks home, like, good for you, almost octogenarian, that you're able to walk home in that Texas heat in rampant time. That's better than I can do to make it there. By when Melody and Dante are in the house, that's quick.
Yeah.
When
must have known a shortcut.
Yeah. When after he kills after he wounds Dante and he's going into the wall that's been, again, this is a weird thing. So the lady took him in, but then she walled up his chainsaw.
Yeah.
Okay. And he kills Richter. When he leaves, he's doing a wardrobe change. You may not catch this, but he does, because then when he reappears,
I didn't catch it. No.
Yeah, when it reappears, he's wearing the apron, and
I did notice the apron.
Tie.
Yeah, I didn't notice the tie. I noticed the apron.
Yeah, he put on a tie and apron because this is his killing attire. You know, he wanted to make sure that
Superman's got to have his cape, right?
Yeah, not all heroes wear capes. That to me was just one of those things. And I mean, like I said, I watched this a few times, but I was looking, it wasn't until I was like looking at this, my little pins that I brought. Show you. Can't see it. Yeah. Like that, where he's got his little apron, and then this when he gets all dressed up.
He's chasing after,
yeah, when he gets all dressed up for dinner at the Sawyer house and all that stuff, but he's in a suit and tie and all that stuff.
Yep.
That's when I realized, like, he's wearing that apron and tie like throughout the rest of the film, which, when the hell did he change? And really, why would he change? He felt like he needed to change. Is like, you know what, if I'm gonna be killing people, I need to look like I'm going to be killing people. So hold on one second. Let me get my tie on. Let me get my apron. Got to get this real. That I thought was pretty stupid. Now, people can say it's like, oh, well, Jason wears his mask, and
Michael always gets his overalls.
Michael Myers had his overalls and stuff like that. Like, but he went and like killed someone to get his overalls.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you're saying that Leatherface had, again, the apron that he like had hidden for 40 years and the tie, and that it would fit him equally as well as it did when he was in his 20s. Okay. And also that the chainsaw that was holed up in the wall,
which looked like it was new.
Yeah, which had apparently been in there for almost 50 years, was going to work.
Well, the original chainsaw wasn't green.
Oh, I know.
I pointed that out right away. I was like, it wasn't green. It was just a regular chainsaw. It was a steel chainsaw.
I mean, I love the stuff on the bus when he's killing everybody and stuff.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, when they pull it up, because kids would do that.
You've got the people at the window and it's like clear, and then you go back and you've got the same people at the window, and now it's like bloody and whatnot. I thought that was, a gory blood fest and whatnot. The kids would totally pull out their phones and be like, you're getting canceled, dude. If you try anything. I also think it's pretty ridiculous that you would think that all those people would be on that bus ride for 7 hours with one working toilet in the back.
True.
I mean, that seems a little far-fetched to me. Like that. Yeah. And the bus driver the bus driver that spoke nothing and then slept through half the film.
Yeah.
What was that? It's like, I mean, I know it's a dumb thing, but it's like, why do you have this character? Why don't you just have him in the back? Like, seriously, why do you have to keep waking him up? And then he doesn't say a damn thing like throughout. I mean, it's just the little things that didn't make any sense to me. Like how the movie theater had the neon signs were working, yet it apparently had a sinkhole in the middle of the theater because you had something that was deep enough that a definitely 6'4", 6'5" man was like swimming in there and not coming up. Like,
well, and that's what I was like, okay, all of a sudden now we're in like a scene from James Bond where the freaking where they're in Venice and it's now we've got water underneath everything. I'm like, where did this come from? It was kind of really kind of crazy.
And it obviously could not have been from that storm, because if they're trying, I mean, that was seriously, that was a sinkhole.
That water, that had to be. Yeah, I mean, that I still can't explain that. I've tried. I'm like, where did this lake come from underneath it? I couldn't figure that out. And then again, walking. I mean, like you pointed out, spoiler at the end. We're supposed to believe that Leatherface has left the Harlow orphanage and is now walked home, which, as we know, is supposed to be close to Austin, which, as we've been told from the film, is almost 7 hours away. So, and I mean, they do have it like, it's like morning, sunrise when the movie ends. And then when you've got the post-credit scene at the end, it is kind of sunset. So that still wouldn't make any sense that he would be able to walk that far in that amount of time. Maybe he's got some underground tunnels like Jason did in the reboot.
I don't know.
That's how he made it. To explain, that's how I made it from the one side of the camp to the other, and
Well, and it's the whole thing that it's like you're trying to. I mean, I will say yes that this definitely was a. I think this is a pro Leatherface film, like where he was just trying to kill the right and the left. This definitely there was no, this is a bipartisan
no likable
film.
Characters. No likable characters in this film at all. I don't think. I kind of Melody, the one who was the survivor from the. I kind of was a little bit invested in her, a little bit.
Lila.
Was it Lila?
Lila's a sister.
Yeah, Lila and Melody were sisters, but wasn't she's the one that had wasn't she the one that was the survivor of the shooting? Whichever one was.
No, that's Lila.
Okay, Lila then. Lila was the one that I was kind of invested in. She was the one who kind of befriended Richter, the Steven Dorff. I don't know if they couldn't get Steven Dorff, but they tried to make Steven Dorff because I thought that he looked like Steven Dorff from the Leatherface pre-whatever that they made, which honestly, that film got a lot of shit and I didn't see why, because I actually thought it was pretty good. That Leatherface film. I love the twist at the end that you come to find out that the kid you think's Leatherface is not Leatherface. It's the more normal.
Yeah.
Kid. But yeah, as soon as I was like, oh my God, is that Steven Dorff? I didn't think he was in this movie, but sure looked like him. But yeah, I kind of was a little bit invested in her. I was invested in the Sally coming back, of course, because I was all gung-ho about that, even though they kind of stole that idea, but from Halloween 2018, which I was okay with, but they didn't do anything with it. And then they not only stole that, they stole a kill from when Sally gets killed with the chainsaw and he's holding her up in the air. That's James Jude Courtney holding up the firefighter from Halloween Kills. I mean, I mean, I saw somebody had a picture of it, side by side. And I mean, I called that when I was watching it, but when you put it next to each other, it's so obvious that they stole so much from that.
Here's the thing with that. I'm going to have to say, though, that I would guarantee this was well into post-production when Halloween Kills came out. So that's like a major, major coincidence. I get what you're saying because Halloween Kills came out in October. This is February. They've had to be working on this film, I would guess, at least maybe 6 months to a year. So they wouldn't be able to do that same kill. But yeah, no, when you
I don't know. I mean, for a Netflix film, I mean, this wasn't a big production. I mean, I don't know that they had this. I mean, that to me would have been worth doing a reshoot to avoid that.
Yeah, maybe.
But the bigger thing was they didn't use they didn't use her at all. I mean, she looked like Kid Rock putting her cowboy hat on and throwing her thing. And then for her to still be alive laying there and it's just ridiculous.
Well, I
think they needed more. Sally needed to be more involved in this film, I think, for me.
I think she did. I mean, anytime you're trying to do like a reboot or a requel, is it? I mean, I don't even know. It's like it's a sequel, but a reboot. Yeah. And it's that, I mean, you need to have the final person in it, like the final girl that's going to be in it. Like that is quintessential. Obviously, right. They couldn't have that because, the original actress has passed away. Right. But I like the fact that they didn't make her a victim, similar to Halloween Kills. I do think it's a little bit ridiculous that, what you're saying, how they can't find a 6'4" giant in Texas during that time who's been at an orphanage. Like, I would think the kids would squeal on that. But the fact that the fiance that they didn't name was able to get killed with just the slice through the belly, yet Sally got chainsawed, was able to do that end monologue and also give out some shots. I mean, maybe that's just freaking spite. I didn't necessarily mind that. It's the whole Destiny's Child thing she had going on, like say my name, bitch thing that also reminded me a little bit of American Pie, Allison Hannigan. This is a character who never spoke. He grunted. He did some stuff like that, but it's not like he spoke. Why the hell did you introduce yourself? Did he know your name even when he was killed? He didn't know Franklin. He didn't know Pam. He didn't know that.
He carved Franklin up like a Thanksgiving turkey, and he was sitting in a wheelchair. He didn't even care.
Yes, but it's not like he said his name. Oh, Franklin, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Nothing was said with names. So the fact that she's doing this like say my name thing was like cheap. It
was corny.
I cannot wait until someone like makes the meme where they like do her say my name and it's like going to be Destiny's Child, say my name, my name. Yeah. Just waiting for someone to do that. If they haven't already.
I've already seen a couple of memes from this movie. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Well, that and the stuff when he like pops up from it's not daisies. What is it? Oh, sunflowers.
Yeah.
When he pops up from the sunflowers and stuff like that. Well, and that's the other thing. Like when he takes the time to, face his mom or his adopted mother, then then take out the bench from the cop van, set her up on it and find the only living sunflowers and put them around her, which it's interesting when Sally finds that the sheriff is missing.
Yeah.
Because the fiance's in the, passenger side, but the sheriff isn't in the driver's side of the van anymore. So I was like, where did he go?
I think Leatherface ate him kind of like Popeye ate his spinach, and that's where he got his
maybe just as like a mid snack. It's like, all right, I got to get my protein.
I think this is over the course of a whole day. I mean, he's got to eat sometime.
because I'm going to be walking. I'm going to be walking a lot. So
you
in
needed
this
that
Texas
energy
heat,
to get back to the absolutely makes sense. It's like a 5-hour energy shot.
I thought the music was good. I thought
music was good.
Cinematography was beautiful.
I love that they brought John Larroquette back. I mean, that kudos for that to do the narration. Dig that.
The bus kills were just gory and bloody and great. And my thing is I understand, like, I love the little touches they had. It's like, very similar to the original. You had character. I mean, let's face it, Franklin is the Scrappy Doo of like almost any victim in a horror film. He's like one of the most hated characters. It's just so so it's not like when people are like, oh, there's no likable characters in this one. There weren't that many likable characters in the first one either. I mean, he's pretty bad, but I actually like the kind of the tie-ins with at least from my thinking of it, it's like the end now more, people surviving that, going through the people they know, and then this with the school shootings, the whole hippie culture is like, let's make everything love and all that stuff, to let's rebuild this town, let's make it, the craziness and the crime and the danger of the city, and like, start fresh. I liked how they had those little similarities in both. And I thought that was nice. I wish they just would have like stopped there, and either, I don't know, the whole orphanage thing I just thought was just kind of weak and weird. And
it almost seemed to me like it was lazy, because they found where they wanted to shoot, and they wanted to shoot in this little town, and they decided they were going to shoot in that house because it somewhat resembled, because even Janelle was like, that's the same house from the first one, isn't it? I was like, no, it's not. The interior resembled it a little bit, because that door looked like it could have been the sliding door, the way it was set up on the inside. Now, whether that was really the inside from that town or not, I don't know, but it seemed like they built the orphanage thing around their location choice to shoot where they wanted to shoot. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I mean, I could be way off base there, but I mean, I don't know any other way of explaining, okay, let's just come up with a random orphanage idea and we'll throw it in there. Because any other business or something like that could have, I mean, they had all kinds of other businesses there. And then the dude's auto body shop or mechanic shop was still, I mean, he was still working in there. So I don't know.
That, and I kind of questioned that, but then he had said he'd been here a week and he had kind of like cleaned it up and done that.
He got paid there to help get that stuff ready for them.
Yeah. And Dante said, like, no, it looks great. This will be good because we'll be selling this, because it's not like it's his. He's like, okay, all I have to do is pay me. I'm fine with that, whatever.
Yeah.
But and I mean, it's like, when I think about the idea of this, it's like, I mean, if everyone has evacuated the town because they just felt like it was falling apart and left all their crap there, because I mean, that movie theater had a bunch of stuff still in it. And I mean, it just seems like the town was just kind of like, screw it, we're done. Everyone's gone and all that stuff, abandoned. It's like, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I like that.
But one lady still living there. She's not, if everything around you, whether you want to stay there or not, she's not going to be able to survive there unless, was Leatherface putting her on his back and taking her to this shack that he went to at the end of the movie, and they were spinning, and that's how they were, and then they were coming back. I don't know. And that's the only thing I could think of, because there's not any, I mean, if at least at that point they could have a garden or something like that to help kind of produce some of their own own food. And, he could hunt or whatever, butcher to have meat. They could grow vegetables, things like that. But in that town, I didn't see any gardens, any fields, anything that would lead me to believe, any stores that would lead me to believe that he and her in that town could survive in that house, in that orphanage, whatever.
Well, Jeremy, remember my theory is that they ate all the orphans. That's how they were able to survive all that time. Obviously, I'm kidding, but yeah, I mean the fact
if that ends up being, if that's the truth, then that movie's even worse than I thought it was. I mean,
because that's the theory. That's my theory that I'm putting out there. I'm spreading the gossips like, well, oh yeah, no, he ate the orphans. That's how they were able to survive. But it's like I said, it's the cops knew. It's like you what are you still doing? They were like, what are you still doing here? It's right. Like you heard the bank. You should have been out here weeks ago. What are you doing? All that stuff. But you know, well, the whole movie says a lot from the very beginning when you hear a VHS tape go into a VHS player, and yet the TV says DVD on. So that right there says that okay, this is going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll just leave at this is, you know, we've kind of crapped on it enough, but one of the things that really didn't make sense to me is if you were that determined that you're not going to vacate that house or home, whatever you want to call it, and she had that deed locked in her little music box, and they're taking her, the cops are taking her out, and even like you said, they said, we told you weeks ago you had to get out of here. Wouldn't you take your little key and open up your little music box and let it play, and then say, hey, look, Sheriff, I have every right to be here.
Yeah.
And then guess what? You don't have to be carried out with Leatherface. You don't have to die in the back of the van or any of that other bullshit. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of misses and a lot of points. Like, you know, you've pointed out a lot. I've pointed out some. Overall, I mean, it had some redeeming aspects. I will say it was entertaining, even at some points, even if it's laughable entertainment. But I really don't think it deserves the hate that some of the people are giving it online. I mean, currently right now, I mean, it's got a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's got, you know, IMDb's got it rated to 5.1 out of 10. I can see the 5.1 out of 10. The 30%, I think it may deserve a little bit better than that.
I would have given it a 6.5 just from the way it's shot, because I do think it is shot beautifully. It's just, I think there's a number of things wrong with the script. There's a few acting things, performances, just not necessarily a full performance, but a number of scenes that I think were misses. And
I would agree.
I thought the production value, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that orphanage, which that takes a lot of time to make it look, you know, that kind of like collectible and hoarderish and stuff like that. That was very well done. I think like when Sally gets to the police van and sees everything, I think those are beautiful shots, like excellent use of like natural light and artificial light, and just the way they frame her and the use of like, I think there's a number of ways where the director and cinematographer like focused on a specific color in different scenes, like especially in the movie theater. It's like you see that blue and the blue coming in through the hole, you know, with the light, like the hole in the ceiling, stuff like that. That was gorgeous. Like there's honestly, you could take like still shots of that and it's great. I mean, I think there's a lot of merit and there's a lot of like kudos. I have to give them a lot of kudos to that. I think they did a very good job. I thought the music was great.
Music was good.
I think some of the times though, when they did like the light bulb sort of noise, the edit could have been a little bit better, because there was one time when Leatherface is like walking and you've got the light bulb noise, but then the rib thing goes up. It's like, you know, just let the light bulb noise follow him, let it dissipate, and then lift up the ribs, because otherwise it kind of looks like, why is light bulb noise going into the ribs? It's a little thing. I'm a critic. These are things I'm critical on. But yeah, I think there's a number of things. Like I said, I just wish, I think if they would have had this as a standalone film and not, trying to do the TCM nostalgia in it, I think it would have been a better movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was rushed is what makes me want, because kind of it being all over the place and a lot of things that not connect. I mean, it makes me wonder if some people were in a conference room and they're just throwing out all these different ideas, and we're like, okay, yeah, we'll use that, we'll use this, we'll use that, and then instead of trying to connect and saying what makes sense, what's going to translate well, and what is going to be a good follow-up to the original. I mean, that's the other things if I was to do this film, I would want to do this film where I would want someone to want to watch the original and then immediately watch my film and not see a drastic, oh shit, no, this is big, definitely not, in a different class than that one is.
Well, and the last thing that I'll point out about this thing, damn, Harlow's got some really solid Wi-Fi service, because did you notice that not once in this movie did anybody's call drop? Not once.
You know what? I thought about that too. And when I thought about it, I was like, I bet the reason they're doing that is because so many times nowadays in a horror movie, we get out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, I don't have a signal. So they didn't want someone to, that's the only thing I could think of. But you're right. There had to be, if there's not a tower around, they wouldn't have had a signal. But who knows?
Yeah, and if there's any time for them to do that where they don't have a signal, it would be in a town that is a ghost town.
Yeah.
Because even when Dante's
asking each other, hey, can you turn on your hotspot? Can I hop on your hotspot?
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not getting it either. Or maybe the bus had Wi-Fi. Maybe the bus had it. I don't know. My car has Wi-Fi. So I don't know.
Yeah, and they do. That's true, because they do have the Tesla. So, yeah. But I mean, the Tesla, I don't know. And I mean, again,
it wouldn't be. It would be kind of slow, probably, if everybody was connected to the same.
And again, if you want to modernize the mirror for the original to this one, 2022, in the original, I mean, what is more Texas than a pickup truck that Sally gets into, and what is more 2022 than what is it, Lila driving away in a self-driving Tesla? I mean, they do that little mirror thing again. It's kind of ridiculous. At the same time, I can see why they did that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will say, as much as there was wrong about this film, I will say it's by far not the worst in this franchise. I mean, this is the 9th different Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I think.
Something like that.
But there's been several that have been worse. But as I said in the beginning, I love the original. I even got behind the first reboot with Jessica Biel, and even the beginning. That we can't, that those 3 films there, I thought they were top notch. I really liked them. Arlie Ermy, God rest his soul, was great in those Michael Bay films. But after that, I mean, a lot of people like The Next Generation, a lot of people like Leatherface 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I get where they're coming from. But honestly, I mean, a lot of people really didn't like that Leatherface one with Steven Dorff. And I go back to that one. I think that one was a pretty good, pretty well put together film. I thought it did a great job of explaining, a possible backstory for Leatherface, and it had a great twist at the end. Steven Dorff's death was a great scene. And that, I don't know. But like I said, this is by far not the worst of any of the Texas Chainsaws. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I'd say definitely watch it. Draw your own conclusion. This is what we always say, because these are just opinions. Everybody's got one. So that's kind of the way I put it. If I was to rate this, I would probably, you said 6.5. I'm kind of in the middle. I'll maybe go 5.5 somewhere on that for this one. Um, like I said, I think some of the misses are just so big, such big misses. And what I did like about it, it was like they just gave me just like a nugget of what I liked about it, just enough to keep me from turning it off. But I don't know. That's my take on it. Any final words?
Watch it for the gore, not for the story.
Well, and you know what? That's famous, for any horror movie. We don't watch horror movies to expect to see him nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars.
I do. I do.
Yes. It would be great, wouldn't it? It would be great one of these days.
Well, they are. Get Out was nominated for a Best Picture.
True. Yeah, but Get Out, it was. I kind of still look at that as like a psychological thriller. I mean, parts of it say horror to me, but when I look at Get Out, was just so much more cerebral than, so that's what makes me think psychological thriller more so than horror, which is the same. I'd say the same thing about Silence of the Lambs. I don't think I wouldn't really put that in the horror category. It borderlines, it's close to it, but it has horror tendencies maybe. But I say more psychological to me.
Agree to disagree.
To me, they just have to. It needs more gore. More. I mean, I don't know. I guess, like I said, it's all speculative. So, if you think it's horror, then hey, we got some more higher quality films that were worthy of Best Picture and Oscar nominations than I would. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. You can catch Katie. She's the blonde in front. Catch her on Facebook, and we'll catch you next time. This is Oz, Postmortem Radio. Bye.